This podcast is for general informational purposes only and represents the individual opinions of Dr. Dmitry Bick, Dr. Stefan de Graaf, Dr. Suzanne Mignon, and the guests. It does not constitute the practice of medicine or other professional healthcare services and should not be taken as medical advice or an establishment of standard of care. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The content on this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, but more importantly, leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Reviews not only help us grow listeners, but also help us grow as a show, improve our content, and make us better.
The problem with being off for 3 weeks is that things accumulate over time. We've got Antonio Brown rediscovering that he has a Twitter account, and I didn't bring my Ritz crackers with me upstairs, but I have them downstairs. We have Aaron Rodgers just becoming a talking piece for a particular group of people in America that I don't know if he wanted to do this, but he has. We have an alien in Miami. We've got weather that has come down to Florida, including a tornado. And I read this morning that next week in Florida, it's going to be so cold that we may actually have snow. We have a naked man in Birmingham, Alabama. Of course, it's Alabama because everything happens in either Alabama or
Florida.
South Florida.
Or Florida.
Or Florida in general, who jumped into a Bass Pro Shop. And I have sound related to that I really want to play. We've got Suzanne talking about something that happened New Year's Eve. But I want to, I have questions about the Nutcracker ballet that I took my kids to, but I do want to indulge a little bit in selfishness this morning. We have the Dolphins that we have to get to, and then the referees that blew a game against Dallas, but I do want to indulge a little bit selfishly this morning. My birthday was last month, and I received what I consider to be the greatest gift a human being could possibly get from their spouse. And,
silence?
Well, yes, in sort of respect, silence, yes. And now my wife is upset at me because I use it almost on a daily basis. I got a Metaverse Oculus Quest 2. It's a VR headset.
Oh.
And I'm not using it for what you think I'm using it for. Because I know I could see the look on your face, Suzanne.
Yeah, sure.
It's not that. I actually use it mostly to play virtual poker, and like shoot 'em up games.
Can you practice your poker face using the Oculus?
Unfortunately not, but it does actually just give you a poker face in general, which is really cool. But I do use it to escape, which is the quiet that I was talking about. And immediately she regrets giving it to me. So the question I have for you guys is, have you ever received or given a gift to someone that you immediately regretted, or they've regretted giving to you because she completely regrets this? And I love it.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it longer. Yeah, I mean, as she thought about it longer, she might not give it to you, man. Because that's her time with you. That's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
Well, I mean,
I love
it's a
this
silver
thing.
lining.
You know,
Go ahead.
maybe like some of the things I've given my kids in retrospect, I'm like, oh shit, that really wasn't a good idea. I mean, it happens.
Like
Their Xbox consoles.
Same.
It's always gaming, right?
Always gaming.
It's
Always.
always
They
gaming. Yeah,
become
it always has to
wrapped
do
up
with
in
gaming.
that, and then they get pissed at you when you limit them, all that good stuff.
But in
That's
silver
right.
lining though, either if it's a husband or kids, the good side of it is that they stay home.
I will tell you, um, we have a gift here that is the $2 million puzzle. I don't know if you've been looking at my little Facebook updates on my $2 million puzzle over here. However, we have been putting it together for the past, when was Christmas, 2 weeks? There is no box cover. It is a QR code, and every piece looks the same.
Why would you do that
It's
to yourself?
online.
It's a physical jigsaw puzzle, and
Wow.
it makes a QR code, and then you scan the QR code, and it is supposed to take you to the site where you redeem a prize from anywhere from $1 to $1 million, right?
Uh-huh. And it's going to be
Every
$1 million.
every puzzle is a winner. So I
Uh-huh.
know that we've won at least $1, but I have
Uh-huh.
to put this damn thing together. And we've been sitting here and we're just staring at each other like this is like crazy impossible. And I have redone the sides and redone them and spent hours doing this
Uh-huh.
instead of
And
being
you're gonna
productive.
spend half the year doing this for $1. Is
No,
what's gonna
there's a
happen.
deadline. I have to do it by
Oh,
Oh,
February.
really? Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So
are
you're
you
gonna
gonna go to
spend
work?
you're gonna
I mean, something
you're gonna reach the deadline and realize that you would have gotten $1 anyway.
right.
I
Something's
know,
gotta give.
but
Something's gotta
it's the
give,
challenge. It's the challenge.
Is this what happened over the New Year's Day
Oh, no, no,
sleepover?
no, no, no. Our
What
kids
happened?
had our kids had a play date. And when our kids have a play date, both your child and my child like to talk a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm cooking for my New Year's party later that evening, and I'm preparing all the snacks and everything. And of course, our children have raided the fridge and are
Of course.
eating chicken Alfredo because I guess that's everybody's favorite thing to eat when they come here. And your child starts talking about your cooking.
Oh,
in good.
And
fantastic. I can't
so
wait to see where this
I
goes.
discovered, Dmitry, that you make the worst pasta ever. Your
Is it
child's
raw?
words. Your child's words. My dad made pasta last night and it was awful.
Well,
What
somebody's
pasta
gonna
that
make.
I
It
don't make
was the
pasta.
worst. You made
What pasta
pasta.
do I make?
I don't know, but you made pasta and it was bad. You make the worst pasta. And I don't know if it
I
was
would
he was
love to know
talking
what
about
pasta I
you.
made.
I don't know if he was talking about you or your wife, that they use too much seasoning.
Oh my God. Please do not
He was
On
being
retaliate.
pasta?
you cannot make pasta.
Please do not
Um,
retaliate. Go easy on the kid.
so apparently
On
you did not
pasta?
get
How do you
the,
make seasoning? How do you put seasoning on
I,
pasta?
I
I
guess
don't
you
know if it
do.
was seasoning on pasta or something
I
else.
guess you do, man.
I'm getting raked by a 9-year-old. This
You
is
are.
incredible.
I thought it was hysterical. And here I am cooking. Your kid likes my food.
See,
This is
uh,
also the
Yeah.
child. This is also the child that went tubing on a lake, the funnest thing you can ever do, and got out of the tube and is like, "That's the worst tubing ever." And
wait,
we're
so
like,
is that a way of
"Are
saying your
you like,
pasta is
what's
great?
wrong with you, huh?"
He has high
Are you saying
standards.
your pasta is good now?
What I'm saying is, this is a child that likes to complain. That's what I'm saying. And this is known about this child, is that if he doesn't get everything that he wants, he mistakes that for not getting anything. And so we love him for this quirk that he has. And this is just who he is. This is just who he is. So there's no offense taken. I have no idea what pasta he's even talking about. I don't know how you season pasta.
Well, I don't even know if he was talking about your seasoning or Maria's seasoning. I'm not sure. But your pasta was the worst. And that's all I know.
I don't.
And you did not get the Chef Ramsay seal of approval.
Okay, listen. I took these kids. These kids don't appreciate anything. I took these kids to the Nutcracker. Okay, me and Maria took these kids to the Nutcracker, which is an amazing ballet. Okay, where like if this was like 50 or 60 years ago, this would have been like the highlight of their entire December. But of course, the two of them fell asleep, which because they didn't have like their Nintendo with them or whatever. Okay. And it got me thinking on two things. Number one, what is the story of the Nutcracker, by the way? Because I read the story, the synopsis, and it's this weirdo shows up at a party, at a Christmas party, and gives this little girl a Nutcracker toy that comes to life at night and takes and whisks her away into this fantasy land with kings and queens, and they all do some dance, and then the show ends. So, like, what happened here?
They were high.
A weirdo shows up.
It's kidnapping.
She disappears, and now is like lost. Like, what is going on here? And I told Maria this, and she's like, "You idiot! It's a dream. She had a dream. She didn't actually And I'm like, "No, that's not what it says here. That's not what it says here. It says that she actually went into this land."
No, it was a dreamland. Or she was high.
Well, they need to be more. She was high. She's 9.
The family might have drugged her to get her to sleep so they could party.
So okay. Anyway, the other thing that I was wondering,
I bet you they made better pasta.
The other thing that I was wondering is, in the music, I started hearing the music, and I'm like, this is all from like car commercials and like insurance commercials. This music, like,
well, car commercials have used the music.
Has used the music, yeah. Like Allstate, the Mayhem used the music, and like it's in M&M's commercials. And I'm thinking, like, is this where kids learn classical music now? Is it even classical music anymore? What do they call it? Because classical music is like Led Zeppelin now, right?
I know.
God.
I mentioned earlier the guy that jumped into the pool in Alabama. I can't stress enough how funny this is, and that I had a clip that made its way onto Twitter that explained this. This is from Blair Erskine. The caption is "Bass Pro Shop guy's wife speaks out." And this is her explaining what happened with this guy that jumped into the aquarium at a Bass Pro Shop in Alabama.
Today we took the kids to Bass Pro Shop so they could get their picture made with January 6th Santa. And while we were there, my husband decided to get into the swimming pool. And it is a swimming pool. Aquariums have tops on them. If you don't want us to get in it, you put a top on it, or else it's a swimming pool. It's apparently somebody took a video of it and put it online, and I have been seeing some nasty comments. And I just have to say, if you're at Bass Pro Shop and you see a grown man take off all his clothes and get butt ass naked in the swimming pool, you need to mind your business. If you're looking at his penis, you're a pervert, and you should be looking at God's penis, because yes, God is a man, and yes, he does eat meat. In our house, we like to say he might not have the biggest part, but he does have the biggest heart. His earthly penis might be small, but his spiritual penis, the one he'll have when he gets to heaven, is massive. And it's always inside. And if anybody from Bass Pro Shop is watching this right now, I just want to say we should get our January 6th Santa photos for free. That's the least y'all can do. The least.
All right, so I watched that and I'm like, this can't be. It just can't be real. It can't, because with that, look, with everything going on in America right now, I just can't believe things are so stupid right now that, yeah, it could be real, but even this can't possibly be real.
But it's like the guy who jumped in naked at It's a Small World in California.
Well, no, the guy is real. That happened. And there's even a photo of him butt ass naked, completely top to bottom naked, with the police arresting him on Twitter. Like, it's not censored. Like, children who have Twitter accounts can see this.
Are we going to?
That's real.
Are you talking about the interview with the wife?
But I'm talking about this clip of her.
Got it.
Coming on and quote unquote explaining it. And I'm like, cannot believe, like, with the stupidity in this country going around, even this sounds ridiculous. And then I looked at her account and it says writer for Jimmy Kimmel.
So
And I'm like, okay.
You got duped. Yeah, we all got duped.
And I'm like, I almost got butt cracked.
Yeah.
I
She got
believe
no.
I
this
think
was
you
real.
verified your
She
source.
got you. She got
I
you.
verified my source. See, America, this is what you do. When you think that something is real, you go and you verify your source and you make
Yeah.
sure that it's
Verify your
a
source.
real, legitimate source, and it's actually just
Yeah.
a writer. And she's so funny. Which brings me to my next point, which
It's
is
funny.
this alien story.
No, yeah, but I was gonna say it's funny. We can get to it later. That in the same breath, you mentioned Jimmy Kimmel, trust your source,
Right.
and then we'll talk about
Okay,
later.
all right. There's two things going on here. Let me just do the alien thing real quick, because this is the sources and Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers and conspiracies. This all ties in
It's
together.
all
Right,
tied
right?
together.
This alien thing that happened in Miami, when I first saw this video, Miami Mall was trending, and there is no such thing as Miami Mall. But it
What
turned
was
out
it?
to be
Was it
Bayside.
Dolphin?
It was Bayside
Bayside?
No, it was
Marketplace,
Bayside.
which is right next
Bayside.
to the Heat Arena.
Correct. That's right next to what I
FTX,
call
whatever
American
it's called.
Airlines Arena, but now it's like what, Kaseya Center.
Kaseya,
whatever.
It's
Kaseya Center.
Kaseya Center. It will
Kaseya
always
Center.
be the
It will
AAA.
always be the AAA to me. And I have never seen this many police answer a call ever. It's so many police. It looks like they sent the entire Miami City,
Right?
Miami police force.
I
It
was
looked
expecting
like
to know there was a shooting or something like that, right? Like a bomb.
you know what it looked like? Do you ever see Batman Rises?
Yeah,
The
when they
final
all got
last
there, yeah.
Batman
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Bane. It looked like that, where they sent all of the police into the underground tunnel and that's what it looked like. And I'm like, is Bane there or something? Like, what's going on? And then they're like, the conspiracy theories popped up, and it's like
All
an
over
alien. Then they
TikTok
showed
and Twitter.
then they showed the like grainy footage of this little like shadowy figure running down the street, and I'm like, it's an alien. And then I brought this up to you guys, and Suzanne sent me a video, which I already had seen, of a gang of kids beating up.
It was a
like
group of,
one-
it was a large group of kids that were involved in a fight, and
Right.
there was no alien, Dmitry.
I
Unless
I
they're
gotta be
using
honest
the
with
fight
you.
to cover up the alien.
I gotta be honest with you, Suzanne.
It was disproportionate. So there's something behind it. I agree.
That's exactly right. It's they
disproportionate.
sent every single unit in Miami
For kids, bro.
20 teenagers. If you're right, and it was 20 teenagers beating up one teenager, which is what the video you sent me, which I had seen already. I'd seen it before I'd seen the police video. If that's true, then that's the reason they sent it. And I don't know that that's true, because it looked to me like that was on the streets of Miami versus Bayside, which is an outdoor mall, and it looks different to me. But okay, if that's true, the proportion of police they sent for that is so disproportionate. And I didn't see any weapons. I just saw them using fists and
Is it
doesn't.
disproportionate, or did they get a call about potential weapons?
Yeah.
Are they trying to
Yeah, I
avoid
think-
something that happened like on Hollywood Beach with the shooting that happened
Right.
there?
I think it must have been a misunderstanding. It must have been a threat. I
The
know.
kids that were beating up the other person were all black, and the
Mhm.
kid they were beating up was white, and they
You-
sent
you-
the
you
entire
think,
city of Miami police.
You think
force.
somebody called and said, oh, a group of black kids beating up a white kid, and then they send the entire.
And they sent the entire city of Miami police force.
Yeah, I mean, that could be. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
could
I
be
wouldn't
the
be surprised.
I keep saying they sent the entire city. I don't know that for a fact.
It
But
looked like it, though.
when you look at the video, it's I didn't count, but
You know what it was? It might have been a
40
Karen.
police.
It might have been a Karen making the phone call. That's what it was.
I
A Karen made
don't
a phone call, made it sound like
don't
it
know.
was like some kind of bomb threat or some kind of killing of gang killings, and then they made it worse than it actually was.
But even in a shooting, like in a school shooting, have you ever seen that many police?
I don't know.
A video? I don't know.
Was that ever a gunshot? I don't think so.
No, I don't.
There was no
I didn't.
gunshot.
But there's so little information about it
That it must be an alien.
that's why there's a conspiracy theory
To
about
the
it. Is
point,
because there's
I
so
think
even in a school shooting, for instance, in any shooting, it's always it's a shooting. This is the purpose, active or not active, or we got him. Here's the response. Here's the press conference, right? This is what it is, right?
Mhm.
In this situation, there's a video of 40 police cars with lights and sirens. Here's a grainy video of some shadowy figure, and here's the video of 20 teenagers beating up a kid. This is what happened. No press conference, just a statement from the police saying it was teenagers. That's it.
right, because they care about disproving conspiracy theories. They have to comment that it was not aliens.
We're not going to do the conspiracy show because we did the conspiracy show. It's not aliens. It's never aliens until there's aliens. Okay. But this is how conspiracies happen in this country, is when you limit information, you get the wackos that come on Twitter and TikTok. And anyway, speaking of conspiracies, this Epstein thing happened where, quote unquote, this list came out, and it wasn't a list. It's not an itemized, like, here's a list of everyone that showed up on this guy's
Apparently the
island.
list is being delayed. They're delaying some parts of it until the end of the month.
But it's not even a real list. It's redacted documents from the court. It's not a itemized list of people, like 1 through 1,000. It's not that. It's redacted documents with maybe some names on it. And some people are going to be on this and some people are not. So you're not even going to have a full list. And meanwhile, you got a guy who is talking about another conspiracy. And if you heard this one, the NFL conspiracy, that the NFL is scripted, which is, to me, even more funny, because the NFL's Super Bowl logos used to be just this kind of standard matte, kind of one color, up until like 3 years ago, when they went to gradient logos with different colors. And since then, these colors have matched the colors of the teams in the Super Bowl. And of course, the conspiracy dudes are like, it's got to mean that the NFL is scripted, even though there's like 3 teams with the same color scheme. And this year, the color scheme is red and purple. And right, San Francisco and Baltimore are the number 1 and number 2, the number 1 teams in each conference. And of course, everyone thinks they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, and it's entirely possible, unless of course the Dolphins do something.
Sports is such a controlled business that I wouldn't be surprised. Look what happened with NCAA football. There's powers that control ending of seasons and matchups and money and TV rights and stuff like that. It's business.
But the idea that it's scripted, like, look, and the reason it's coming up is because Aaron Rodgers has decided that now he's going to be the voice of what they think is a disenfranchised group. And this topic with him and Jimmy Kimmel that came in from this
whatever.
This Epstein list thing. This is a bigger deal and deserves its own show. So I think we're gonna ice this for another time, because Nick Wright did there's a 15-minute clip of Nick Wright going into this on his show. And that is really something that we need to delve into, because what's happening in America is specifically what's happening here. So we're going to ice that for a second.
But I think we did an episode on conspiracy theory, and actually we did mention Aaron Rodgers. And I think one of the itemized point that we discussed in investigation studies and publication, one of the use of conspiracy theories is to control the masses, right? Is to have some kind of shining object and control the weaker mind, So I think Aaron Rodgers and people like Aaron Rodgers, they have ulterior motives, whether they explicitly say that or not, but they're not doing it because they're dumb. They're doing it because they might have ulterior motives. And most conspiracy theorists, I would bet you, they don't even believe in what they're saying.
Well, Are they, or are they doing it because of something else? And look, we're gonna do this segment, and I don't want to do it right now. And this actually goes into the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the Detroit Dallas game and the referees, but a different angle of that, which is why do people feel the need to have perfection? So we're going to do that next. Last week, as far as I'm concerned, Detroit beat Dallas. And they did it in the best possible way. They ran that tackle eligible thing, the one that beat the Dolphins like 15 years ago, where the Jets came back from 30 points down and Jumbo Elliott or whatever caught this pass in the end zone that ruined my life for one night when I was living in New York. But they ran that play. And then these referees, who, by the way, called the Steelers game last night, blew it and said that not 68, but number 70 was the one that called ineligible. And so, of course, the conspiracy people are out again, and they said that it was scripted and they blew it on purpose, and it was a technicality that ruined this game. And all the videos came out of the huddle, and they clearly he did check in, apparently. And so, and this is not going to be the conspiracy segment because we're going to do that again later, but this is and now what they're saying is, we need to have replay for ref communications because they blew that. But at what point, the question here is like, at what point do we just, stop with the replay system and just go like, you know what, people suck sometimes and they make mistakes. And we're just going to have to deal with it. What is this need for perfection in everything we do? Not just sports, but in medicine, in law, in just everything. What is our need for perfection?
Human nature, right? It's always competition. You always want to do better than the other one. And it's like, it's kind of animalistic of our human behavior. If somebody's next to me is doing some kind of good work, I'm going to do my best unconsciously to do better, to be on top. We do it at work. We do it with, even being a good person, right? You want to be as best as you can for your family. So to your question, perfection is kind of what drives us, I would say. I mean, if you think about it, it's intrinsic to our behaviors. And that translates in sports, obviously. You want referees to be perfect, but they're also human. So we kind of like never acknowledge that mistakes are normal in life, right? We kind of have to tell ourselves we are allowed to make mistakes. It's always forgotten that mistakes is part of life. And that's why we tell in our profession, we tell people all the time, be easy on yourself, right? Be kind to yourself, be forgiving to yourself, because we forget that we are allowed to make mistakes. We always strive for perfection and greatness, and it's not a way of living. And yeah, short answer is that I think it's just human behavior, man. We want the best, and we want the best out of everyone, and we criticize everyone.
Yeah, and I think, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, Steph, we basically operate on two things. We like to be right, and we like to feel good about ourselves. And so we are kind of driven to keep that, right? But I think it goes a little bit further when we're talking about things like ref calls and play calls and all of this other stuff too, because now it's not just people watching a game, people playing a game. You have fans that are truly vested emotionally, but also financially, some of them, right? Because we have sports betting, you have people who are buying season tickets, you have all of these different aspects. So I don't think it's easy just to say, oh, what is this need for perfection for us? I think we're dealing with an issue where, yes, there's going to be human error, but when some errors are so blatantly obvious, why are they not being corrected? Because, we're always grown up. You try to learn from your mistakes and fix your mistakes and whatnot. Now, I think going to replay every single call and every single ref communication, that's going to make the game 6-7 hours long. That's not feasible.
Exactly. And
yeah,
we still we're still going to have situations with human error because look, in the 70s, the 80s, before replay, you would have no replay, right? You'd have a ref call and then you'd have the replay on the TV and be like, obviously he blew it. Both feet were not in bounds. If only we had a system where we could go back and take a look and change the call, then my team would have won and your team would have lost and your team didn't really win. And then we created this system and it still wasn't good enough because the guy upstairs wasn't really on the field and we should let the field guy do it because it's his call and it's not fair. And then we tweaked the system and we got to this place where now the guy in the field is the one that makes the call because he goes over, and it's extended these games to the point where now we've changed the clock rules because now the clock continues to run on out of bounds until the last 5 minutes of each half. And there's still error because we have, 50 and 60-year-old men running in the field to spot a football that's oblong and has a nose. Is it 9 3/4 yards or is it 10 1/4 yards? Is he crossed the plane? And we've got cameras right on the edge of the end zone and pylons, but did he cross the plane? I can't see because his goddamn leg was in the way. And is it conclusive beyond a reasonable doubt, like the guy committed murder? And there's always going to be something like, there's always going to be some level of,
miscontentment,
inability to tell. And this is happening in soccer too. I saw they do this line thing with offsides.
Right,
I don't know if you guys watch EPL.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of EPL. They do this thing with offsides where, and I don't know why they just don't bring it up right away, but they're looking at whether or not, his elbow was like beyond this guy's butt because the entire body has to be behind the other guy's entire body. And if his elbow was like reaching, as he's leaning forward behind the guy's butt who's about to ridiculous. And they put up a line, and I saw a goal in this, it was an Arsenal game or a Liverpool game that I needed a Liverpool to lose, and the other team scored a goal on this play, and they called him offsides, even though it looked to me like he was onside on the eye test. They put the line up, and it still looked like he was onside, but they called him offside. And I'm thinking to myself, if replay can't even get it right, and the line can't get it right, then what are we doing it for in the first place?
I'm going to go a different route. Same thing with the NBA, by the way. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, LeBron James made a 3-point shot. The video replay, we all saw it. He saw it in the game that said that he was behind the line, but the referee still called it inconclusive, and the NBA stuck to the guns. I was going to say, technology and the strive for perfection is ruining sports. Losing, having mistakes in sports, having the human element, the human error in sports is part of it. If sports were perfect, if we're always winning, sports would be boring, right? What gives sports that kind of suspense, that kind of the cliffhanger, the last play and then something happens. Back in the days, you could not do replay. You just accepted the result. Now, because you have replay and the leagues put themselves in a position, because you have replay, you actually have to hold yourself to a certain amount of exactitude, something about perfection, because you have replay. But if you don't have replay, you wouldn't be in a position. You would never be in a position of showing the video tape and saying, I don't know, I can't really call it either way, so we're just going to leave it like that. So the other side would always be upset. There's going to be always a 50-50, happy and upset. So they messed the game up with technology, with the willingness or the wanting to be perfect. It's stupid. Sports should not be perfect. It's a human behavior. It's can you imagine the Incas, the Indians playing their games and they had replays? No.
No, but I'm sure
that's not a route I thought.
But you're still dealing with human error as well, even with the replays, because you have the refs on the field talking to each other.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, things like groupthink might occur and they're just going to go with it. Right.
The
together.
only difference is that it's on everybody's face.
Yeah. I do want to add that this officiating crew for that Lions Cowboys game his crew has been demoted. And they also called a penalty on the wrong team that game that was caught. And I believe this is the same officiating crew that didn't call any penalties against the Eagles, but called them all against the Dolphins in the game that we lost. There is a pattern of behavior with this particular crew. And I think that there was an issue with Brad Allen in the past as well, prior to this season.
Okay, so we're going to bring up a conspiracy that this guy's
absolutely.
But my point here is it doesn't take away perfection, the need for perfection, the replay, because especially in like the NBA you brought up, and in hockey, for instance, where you get replays for things like goalie interference, it's still an opinion. You go in there and it's like, is it a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2? Well, we're going to look at it, and it's still an opinion of the referee when they look at it in slow motion, or they look at it's not like, was the guy behind the line or in front of or touching the line? That's
it's
objective. That's an objective, yes or no. But is it a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2 is still
it's
subjective.
More subjective. Mm-hmm.
Right? And baseball, to me, is going to, if they do this, they're talking about doing robot or AI umpires to do balls and strikes. And to me, if they do that, they're going to rob us of one of the greatest things that baseball does, is the manager running out and throwing dirt on an umpire and arguing. You get two old people coming out and screaming at each other. And that to me is, I mean, I'm an old-timey.
It's part of the sport. I'm telling you, it's
part of the sport.
You live for the hockey fights too.
I love those things. Yes, I love those things. Where the umpire runs out, that was a year ago, you suck, you've been calling these.
Speed artist mouthpiece, so speed artist is, chewing tobacco and then throw his hat down and then stomp his feet like a kiddo.
Yes, and what is the manager going to do if it's a robot? What is he going to, like, run to the sky? And if it's an old man yelling at clouds, he's not going to be able to do that. Got a very quick show today. Quick topics. We didn't even discuss the Dolphins and we'll discuss the biggest game that they're going to play tonight. The show's going to come out after they play this game, but it's the biggest game that they're going to have in, I don't know, like 20 years or something, and they're either going to be in a perfect position to end up in Baltimore again, possibly, or like in a place where they're just going to be done probably for the season, and it's the biggest game ever.
Well, we still have a playoff game, but
don't say that.
Miami. Miami
be optimistic. We clinched the playoffs.
In
and we
utter
could have
fear.
secured a better position, but
you're sounding like Stephen A. Smith now.
Utter fear of their biggest rival of the last 40 years, who've ruined their lives because they could come down here. Josh Allen could play perfect and throw 5 touchdowns.
They're playing Miami?
The Bills. They're playing tonight.
Tonight.
Or he could throw 5 interceptions.
Is it in Miami or in
it's in Miami.
You're playing here. I'll be at the game tonight.
Mm-hmm. And or he could throw 5 interceptions and they could lose by 20 points. And you'll never know until the game ends. And we didn't even talk about that. But anyway, we're not going to get to it. We'll get to it next week.
We're going to have good news next week, though. I'm going to be optimistic.
We'll either be crying on this show or we will be super happy about the first game. And if they lose, they might actually be on Peacock exclusive, because one of the playoff games is only going to be on the streaming service Peacock. And that will be great if they lose and end up on Peacock, because I will not watch that game. I'm not buying Peacock just to watch.
I'll give you my login info, Dmitry.
I will be free next weekend of all football. Anyway, let's end on a happy note. It's the mental health tip of the day.
Day full of hiccups? Need a shake-up? Listen up. It's the Psych Effect Podcast Mental Health Tip of the Day.
The mental health tip of the day in 2024. The first one is brought to you by...
Still nobody.
I don't know.
Still nobody.
I mean, New Year. Come on, guys.
Still nobody.
That's all right.
New Year.
So, yeah,
same sponsors.
It's a new year. People make resolutions.
Sponsor.
Sometimes their resolutions are these super big goals, but we know when we want to set goals, we want to set things that are realistic, things that are achievable, and let's work on the smaller things first. So, there's a saying, don't underestimate the power of small habits and small changes. So with this new year, you can read 20 pages a day of a book, and that equates to about 30 books per year. You can save $10 a day. Think about Starbucks runs. You can save $10 a day, and that equates to $3,650 for the year. You can run or walk a mile per day. That's 365. Well, this year we have a leap year, so it's 366, right?
Yep.
Miles per year. You can listen to a podcast like ours for an hour a day, and that'll give you 365 or 66 more hours of knowledge per year.
There you go.
Sometimes of useless information, conspiracy theories, if you listen to us. So,
of course, ours is very useful, Suzanne.
Is
You talk about
see the humor in things, Dmitry. It's a new year. Find the small things.
Yes, don't underestimate
I love it.
the power of small habits. They do add up over time.
Small steps, always small steps. I tell people all the time, you make a small steps in the right direction, you're getting them somewhere.
That's right. It's baby steps, just like What About Bob? And I don't think anybody under 40 is going to get that reference, Steph.
I don't understand what that reference is.
I thought Bob is somebody you know. What about Bob?
My God, you guys, What About Bob? It's a movie about a guy who's super OCD, Bill Murray.
I know. I think I've
it's
seen
one of
it.
the best.
I know what you're talking
I've
about.
seen
It's
it.
called
I've seen it.
sarcasm.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh my God. All right. It's way too early in the morning for sarcasm today.
Yeah.
On a Dolphin Sunday where everyone's super afraid. But anyway, it's 2024. It's a new year. And Happy New Year, everyone. Are you allowed to say Happy New Year on January 7th?
Of course.
Are we allowed to
Why
do that?
not?
We're still single digit. So yeah, that's where I carry it down. Once we get to double digit, I stop.
Oh, that's decent. I can go with that.
That's easy.
Okay. All right. Well then, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year,
We will
guys.
see you
Happy New Year.
in the next one. And thanks for keeping it up with us. And
we'll keep
we
this
will
thing
keep it
rolling.
up.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
The previous podcast is for general informational purposes only and represented the individual opinions of Dr. Dmitry Bick, Dr. Stefan de Graaf, Dr. Suzanne Mignon, and the guests. It does not constitute the practice of medicine or other professional healthcare services and should not be taken as medical advice or an establishment of standard of care. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The content on this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions.